think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
This is actually embarrassing, but it turned out well. So I haven't been to a dentist in over 20 years. I had like
you work at great jobs.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reason in the world that I couldn't.
You're just like, I can handle this on my own.
Aha, that's right. And I got 0 fucking cavities. I got no plaque between the thing and the stuff. My gums are fucking A-OK. The lady was pleased as punch with my teeth.
That's great.
And I have canine guidance on both sides, apparently. She was like, it's very rare to see this.
What's that mean?
I don't know how to explain it, but the pointy teeth, the canine teeth?
Yeah.
When I chew, those teeth guide my jaw in a special way, no matter what side I chew on. So it prevents my molars from being, I don't know, what's the word?
Worn unevenly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
The reason I finally went is because like my teeth are fucking stained. They're coffee stained. Like I've got like Cynthia.
Oh yeah. This is like 40 though, dude.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I can't. I should go to. And I thought for sure I'd have cavities. I thought for sure, and I was putting it off. But it's a happy story, man. My irresponsibility produced no bad outcome.
I did it for 5 years once with because I'm pretty fucking regimented with the brushing, and I haven't had cavities either. It's really all about the regimen.
It is,
but I mean, like, it's still good because they get in there on the fucking gum line on like tartar buildup and shit, and they do that little scrapey thing. So I mean, there's a bit of a science to it. Also, it's nice to feel the glory of knowing that you succeeded, even though you paid them for the glory.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking walking on cloud 9, man.
See, I'm fucking great. Positive dentist experience.
Yeah, unreasonably proud of myself.
This is fantastic.
All you doctors and all you fucking dentists, you go to fucking hell. You're a scam. Just eat carrots and brush your teeth, and you're good to go.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's amazing, dude. I had never heard a positive dentist story like this. Really, it's fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
My dentist actually fixed my fucking face because I clenched my teeth. So he gave me when I'm asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Not during the day. When I'm asleep.
Sure.
My fucking jaw locks up and I fuck up my own teeth. Can you believe that? That's nice. So anyway, they gave me a thing for that, and it actually fixed a whole bunch of shit.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the cleaning, and getting this shit off my teeth and getting my sparkly whites back. So I can look,
You could whiten them like Tom Cruise if you want.
Well, I was kind of hoping that I would look more like Superman at the end. Yeah.
Like Mark Waid's Superman?
Like Mark
real fucking baby Boy Scout?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Extinction Agenda with James and James, and we're gonna give a win over to old Mark Waid. I don't know how this conversation's gonna go, but
it's gonna go well.
In the sense that it might just be very short. Oh, this book's awesome, and Mark Waid did a good job.
No,
Bravo.
Hang on.
Yeah,
yeah, he did. Not quite.
Okay, well, we're talking Batman, Superman, the most recent iteration of World's Finest. The concept, like the Batman Superman book, where it's Batman and Superman doing stuff together and having adventures and teaming up with other heroes. This has been running since March of 2022. Mark Waid's been writing with Dan Mora, doing the primary illustration. And who's our fucking colorist here? I got too many windows open here.
First book?
Yeah, well, on any of the stuff that Dan Moore is doing, because I know there was one. So wait, what volumes did you do?
Tamara Bonvillain.
Yeah, there we go. So we did volumes 2 and 4 of the new series. I hope that's what
Yeah,
you did.
because they ran. I did, and because they
Yeah.
randomly ran together. Even though
Yes.
I'd love to know what happened in 3 that they didn't fucking link it back up. That's weird, but
Well,
for
just
some
a
reason,
dangling
2
plot thread.
2 to 4 just went smooth as a baby's ass together.
Yeah. So before we talk about this series with Mark Waid, Dan Mora, Tamara Bonvillain, what do we think about the concept of World's Finest? Because like there's been a version of World's Finest comics since 1941, according to the old internet. It ran until 86 in various iterations, and then there's been like a lot of mini-series, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, World's Finest, World's Finest. Even in the Batman Superman cartoon, when they first crossed over, that was called World's Finest. And so, yeah, like, I don't know.
I mean, like, I'm fine with that, it being like an alt brand or whatever. Like, it's like X-Men, New X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, World's Finest.
Yeah, not just the fact that it's called World's Finest. I just meant like the concept of like a comic devoted to Batman and Superman's constant teaming up.
It's a bit gay.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
It's a little, they're in love.
Yeah, a little, and it's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's delivered to me right out of the gate by Mark Waid.
Fascinating. How so?
Straight into the trapeze together.
Well, that's right. That's Robin, and yeah, but you're right though. Like when so
he's just letting me. He's like, listen, guys, yeah, I'm writing a gay property, and let's just have at it here. Ha.
Yeah, because I guess like Superman immediately goes.
Fine.
Superman's immediately shirtless too. In that, so Robin gets lost in time,
which I do not appreciate.
Shirtless Superman or
no? Don't. I
don't do that to me.
I don't like it. If anything, he should have 2 shirts on, Superman costume under his shirt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shirtless, that's a lot of beef for me.
We should say also that Travis Moore illustrates one of these issues, which is the one that we're covering here. I don't know what the actual, issue 6 through 11, and then, I don't know, the other one is volume 4. I don't have anything available to me. I usually have everything all written down. It's like I completely shit the bed this time. It's like I don't even care about the podcast anymore, James.
I think the worst part about that whole sequence is that like after things chill out and they head back into the old carny wagon to like sit on the couch and chill, maybe have like a cup of tea, Superman stays shirtless.
Well, it's true. Yeah, he's sitting, and it's very weird.
Yeah,
just the way he's sitting too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're gonna be a unit, that's fine. But I just that is a weird thing for me to complain about or immediately sort of latch onto and take too far. But I don't know.
Well, no, when Batman and Robin are doing the trapeze thing, it is a ballet between 2 men, right, who are wearing tights. Like there's nothing new about saying that the Batman Robin relationship is coded homosexual. That's been in the book since Wortham, if not earlier.
Right.
But yeah, like other than like the imagery of this book, which now that you pointed it out, I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely this issue. So we managed to skip over the talk of the concept of world. I wanted to say about this idea of the World's Finest, where it's just Batman and Superman hanging out all the time. It feels to me like it makes the Justice League completely superfluous. Because they're the greatest, right? The 2 of them, they're World's Finest, and they're working together all the time. There should be no crime ever, anywhere. All cosmic threats dealt with. Like,
yeah, it's true, and I think it does dissolve the. Well, it does relegate the Justice League into like beyond B, like just they're not they're not really part of the world's finest.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's almost yeah. I mean, I feel like you can easily just call it Batman Superman, but I like the I didn't actually realize that the brand had run back that far like that. So I'm okay with it being its own sort of brand of Batman Superman, and I'm fine with Batman Superman working together. It's like fucking cookies and milk, man.
Yeah, no, I love it. I've always really enjoyed it. But it needs that special sauce. Like Mark Waid's perfect for this property. When it's strange, like it's not the first time he's done a like a team up book like this. He did another DC property way back. Oh Jesus, Brave and the Bold. And he did with George Perez, I think, back in the day. I wonder if I can put it in front of myself fast enough. No,
love
ain't gonna happen. Yeah, but it gives you a sense of how long ago he had been doing that. So yeah, because I was listening to an interview with him just before we were recording when they were first launching Batman Superman, and first of all, in all of his scripts, he writes it Batman Superman or Superman Batman, which is kind of a really funny thing, but it's marketing. Put Batman first, and he was just. I was kind of a humble brag. He was like, "Look, there's no one in the DC universe that I don't have a take on. Like, throw anything at him. Like he's the primal nerd. Like he's the primal superhero nerd." And I think he's able to have sort of a renaissance right now because editorial over at DC is, they're having a moment where they're just kind of like, okay, lunatics, run the asylum. Just do what you want, right? It's kind of the opposite of what's going on at Marvel right now.
Actually, I just had a conversation at work about this with one of the guys that said, like, when sales are low, you can roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, fuck it, this isn't working. Like, go nuts, right? Whatever the fuck you want. You can roll the creative ball around, But when everything's clipping and everybody's making money, that's when it turns into a shit salad. It's just like, pump out the same old fucking breakfast. And you just you cut corners and you use cheaper people and you just stick to a formula and you get Marvel's comics right now.
Yeah, what happened with Marvel is a little, it goes back to the days of Bill Jemas, I think, or I probably just have recency bias on this, but that sort of feature that they did on him. One of the things that struck me as really illuminating, and we're getting far off field from World's Finest here, but we will find our way back. The one thing that Bill and Joe Quesada did when they took over Marvel in 2001 is they were publishing like 50, 60 comics a month, and they were like, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing 20 comics or 30 comics, and those 20 and 30 comics are going to be really good. And if they're not really good, if they're not sales, then we're cutting them out and we're going to try something new, but we're going to keep our line small. And then once Bill left, then the inflation occurred again, and it's kind of stayed that way. Now DC is much the same at the moment. They just flood the market with all this stuff, but still, there's something illuminating about that. There's something there's just so much stuff that editorial. It's why all the Marvel books right now, they just feel like nothing. And it's like many of the DC books similarly feel like nothing, but there's a little bit of magic going on still. Yeah,
that's fair.
But that concentration of quality, it's not just because sales are low. It's I suppose it is because sales are low, because it's like you make more money by selling more books, even if right? It's as simple as that. You just pump out more stuff and people are going to buy it. They won't buy as much of the shit, but they'll buy more shit. If that makes sense. Like of the individual units of shit, they won't buy as many.
I mean, I feel like if I've got more, if I go to get a comic book and you have 5 books and I don't like any and I don't get a comic book, but if you have 50 and I just buy my same standby guy, or I don't know. I can see that. I can see it more as like more product, more options, just sell more by pure volume, right?
Yeah, no, that's the strategy that's been in place since like 2005 or 2004. And it's it's when I personally think about like when we're doing new X-Men and I'm looking at all the books that are being published at that time, it just feels like such an exciting time. Not only because there was fresh blood coming in and there's nostalgia, of course, but it was a different way that they were running the market back then. And I don't know, that I just found that really illuminating. Anyway, Mark Waid is doing well, and I think I wanna say that like the real sauce behind this book is Dan Mora, who from the Claws books with Grant Morrison.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I would have thought in a million years that he would be like the new standard bearer of superhero art in the DC universe.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that either.
Yeah,
I actually didn't realize it was him. I didn't click that.
Yeah. Because I like Claws or whatever. I think it looks good, but it's a Morrison book that I kind of sleep on. I'm just like, whatever. But this is exciting. Like this art the panels are dynamic. There's so much energy. The characters have wonderful expression. The women are very sexy, but without being Jim Lee sexy. They're not hot babes. They're just like they're very attractive. And similarly with the men, it's got kind of like a Greg Capullo thing. And it's
I didn't really like. The art was so smooth for storytelling, and like you say, especially expressions, almost in a bit of a kooky way, like a little more on the Scooby-Doo side for like exaggerated expressions, but like it was so smooth that I actually didn't even think about the art because the story flowed through so well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. That's what you want. You don't want to be distracted and say like, "Oh, fuck is this?" That's what takes the piss out of it. That's what takes the piss out of your writer is when you're especially for sequential art. If you're reading your comic, then this is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna fucking cry about Corday and Van Skeever again. But I'm just gonna say like nothing takes you out of a fantasy story like being removed from your fantasy location completely and being served up a fucking plate of shit.
Yeah. And with World's Finest, man, there's no plates of shit to be had, man. There's like
0% shit plates.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very consistent. So even Travis Moore's edition is good. I mean, it's not like I don't think that I would ever want to buy a comic that was consistent like this opening comic where they're back in time and the stakes are really low and they're solving a mystery at a circus. But like this is very extremely competent art. Like they're not, no corners are being cut here.
No,
is I guess the point. And it's held together very well by the colorist. Friend of the podcast, Jason, feels, I think maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but he feels like the coloring's a little much, a little too bright. But
it does. I was gonna say that too. I was gonna say you can feel a little computer graphic coloring here and there, and also the pop is very exciting, like in terms of brightness. Like it doesn't have an overall. It doesn't have a filter over it, giving the book any kind of a feel. It's just straight up bright.
Yeah.
So I can feel that.
Yeah, I'm super into it. The longer I'm a fan of comics, listeners probably will have heard this. Like just coloring just means so much more to me than it did years and years ago. It is one of, like, a bad colorist will just like completely fuck everything up for me. And I think the brightness of this is like it's part of the design. Like it's meant to be. It's Batman, it's Superman, it's Robin, it's all your heroes, and they're having big, bright, non-cynical adventures. Where like it's just fun. You know, welcome. This is the book where everything's fun. The stakes are still quite high, not in the circus one, and the emotions are very real. But this is a fun book, and Mark Waid's perfect for that. Another thing that Jason had said is that this reminded him a lot of like the Super Friends cartoon, which that's before our time. I mean, I'm sure you've seen bits of it. Right?
I have actually.
Yeah. And it's very much in that vein. It's it's Adam West, Super Friends, that kind of thing. It's taking that vibe back and putting it into, where it belongs, man, the DC universe. But this isn't like, it's not adolescent. It's, well, all superhero comics are adolescent, but there's something true about it.
Yeah, there's enough grit to acknowledge that it's good, but there's enough but it's still poppy. Like you say, it's missing like a real black cynicism about it. Like there's no like corpses, or it's not the Batman's grave. It's in almost like it has more of a classic feel.
Yeah. So what do we think of the main story that we're following in this is the story of little Thunder Boy, who's going to become Thunder Man, who's going to, spoilers, become fucking Magog from Kingdom Come.
Yeah, which actually I got pretty fired up about.
Right? Yeah, no, me too, man.
When I realized that was the pivot.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see Mark Waid return to Kingdom Come, and this story is kind of a comment, probably not the first one he's ever made in comic book form about. I'm certain it's not the first one, because he did a sequel to Kingdom Come called The Kingdom long ago. But anyway, this is it's like, I don't know, it's been 20, 30 years on, something like that. This is Mark Waid coming back to a story that will be, it's the reason he's on the map. It's the reason that Mark Waid is a major voice in superhero comics.
To have this build, like the way he built around his existing story, without really tampering with it, and without tampering with the existing whatever DC universe timeline or whatever, that's great work. Like that is the multiverse. I was saying, I think we were talking private, and I was saying it's hokey. Like take the multiverse and shove it up your ass. It sucks. It's so stupid to have alt fucking characters, and then not only that, the treatment of DC's access to the multiverse. Like Flash just like runs through it. Sometimes I stop in and see people. Fucking what? Shut up. That's so stupid. It doesn't make a lick of sense. It's ludicrous, and it's dumb to behold. And the Flash is intolerable. He's a genius. He's not a genius. He's an idiot. He's not an idiot. He's so fucking fast he can break through the multiverse. But then it doesn't, he gets trapped in the fucking Speed Force. What? It's so inconsistently stupid. It doesn't even go anywhere near lurking close to pseudoscience. It's just pure stupidity.
Right.
And to take that and spin it the way that he did here. So he used a timeline jump at the beginning to tell us our little whatever trapeze story, which is a little cool thing to kind of dip you out of the existing, like to get your toes out of the existing like time stream to start the story. So it gives the story sort of a unique opening where I'm not immediately immersed in current, DC politics. So that's a nice touch, and then to have it.
I think that's I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah,
you,
no, please.
That story where they're in the circus thing, like that doesn't have anything to do with Flash. That has to do with like everything that happened in Volume 1. where they're fighting some sort of demon and Robin beats him, but he gets trapped in time or whatever. And this is just them just going to rescue him.
Well, yeah, but see, I don't know that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't read volume 1. And
Sure.
this is elegant because I didn't need to know that. It
Yeah,
didn't really
yeah.
matter. All I know is I got to sort of start in a new place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I get to start the whole journey in a new place. Same thing as like, for whatever reason, volume 3 is omitted from me, but his books are so complete from end to end in their story that you don't really, it's not necessary. Like, the wrap up doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, he's a good, like, you know, again, this is an episode devoted to talking about like Mark Waid's virtues, and one of his great virtues is to write monthly comic books, and to, you know, that are accessible, clear, stakes are outlined, characters react with each other, you know, like it's the history, the grand history of all this, you know, ridiculous nonsense is evoked, and also like in the best way possible. And so that way, it's just like, it's fun. Like this world is gigantic. This world is bigger than any other world that we've seen in DC comics. It feels like anything could happen. And even then, but, you know, like, it feels that way, but it's the same fucking bullshit. It's the same bullshit as any other fucking comic. And you're just like, no, man, this is the stuff. Mark can do it.
It is because, yeah, that was one of the, and that was part of what I was saying in the beginning too, is just that, like, like, I was immersed. I read through a lot of this like nonstop just because I needed to know what would happen next, and the dialogue flowed, the art's outstanding, and it was just fucking cool. Thunderboy was intolerable.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that he immediately doesn't take instruction, and it's so funny to watch Superman throughout both books, like, try to act as I don't know if he's acting as like a surrogate father or whatever, but he's trying to instill some patience and some like moral compass in the kid, and just never succeeds. And it's funny because right off the jump, he goes to see his original parents in the multiverse and gets this fucking horror story about how he died when he was 3 years old, and he just basically fucked them up by even like making his presence known. And all he had to do was fucking listen to a basic instruction for that scenario to not play out. And it from somebody with more wisdom than him, which is just funny because it's just that sort of like continues on through the whole story.
Yeah, there's a couple, like, so this Thunderboy kid, he's from another Gotham City. He's kind of like, it's Gotham City rather than Krypton or anything like that. Like, he's not. It's a planet, you know, doomed planet, desperate scientists, last hope. It's, you know, he's taking from Morrison's All-Star Superman, and like it's all the constituents of a Superman story. But the kid is not a baby. He grew up in Gotham City, and we're gonna find out later that, like, he fucked it up so that way only he could leave and his parents were left behind. So when he first shows up, like, you know, like, it touches Superman's heartstrings. You know, he's like, my planet exploded.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like a mirror image.
Yeah, well, it's like yeah, well, it's not that it's everything's left-handed and is turned right-handed or whatever. There's something, what little David represents in this is a Superman who's afraid, like, and as a consequence, he's angry, you know. And Superman goes through the same. So maybe you're right. Superman goes through the same thing in this story. Batman throughout is like, you're angry because you're scared. You know, when you're no good when you're angry. It's
Yoda. It's Yoda's lessons.
That's right. It's simple Yoda's lessons. But we see that, like, this kid struggling with almost a mental health issue, but has unbelievable Superman type powers. and yeah, they're just trying to bring him to heel. But yeah, and he's impulsive. He's young. And he can't reconnect with his parents. So you kind of you feel for it, right? Like there is an
they do.
emotional core to it,
Yeah, they do they gotta, even the parents that were here on Earth or whatever, there was an emotional, like, you immediately get an emotional beat from that. That's sort of hard to watch.
Yeah, because then you think about it afterwards, and like there was a version of you here, and yeah, like you said, he died when he was 3. So don't go see your parents again, and that's tough. Like it's a completely different dynamic. And yeah, so he's horribly traumatized, and
yeah, because you're used to dealing with, like, it's funny too, like you say, the mental health issue, because normally we're getting atypical behaviors from an alternative mental health issue, which is like, my parents died when I was young.
right.
And that's the DC Universe sauce, the formula, the fridged parents or whatever, which has sort of its own, mental health beats that you can play off. This one's different.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. And that's all.
Yeah. Like it's not fucking Dostoevsky or anything. You're just like, okay, like Mark, you're pulling some juice out of this, and you see the kid. Like, I don't know how I would have felt about this story if they didn't bring in the Kingdom Come thing, because like I was following this book, but in the way that like I'd steal some issues, from the internet, and I'd flip through them, and I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. I see what's going on there. And then this Kingdom Come thing showed up, and I was like, oh wait, guess I better read the whole fucking thing. And then and I was like, but I don't think that all this stuff is interesting in and of itself, except that David is going to become, as I already said, Magog in the Kingdom Come universe. And so you're like, okay, like that's, well, yeah. And I'm sorry. And also the really excellent Joker key team up, is, I found compelling as well. And those two things together, I was like, okay, this is a book to look at.
Yeah. The key, that guy was really cool. I've never seen him used in any comics before, so I'm glad I got to get the premiere written version of him.
Oh no, but there's this version of him came from this is Grant Morrison's version of him, from like the JLA way back when, but yeah, this is good. It's a proper rendition of that version. Yeah, so on top of David being afraid to use his powers and afraid to be a hero, like there's that scene with the people in the cave and he almost runs away. But on top of that, to be like tortured by the Joker and, hit with a crowbar and all that stuff, like he goes through the ringer.
Yeah, straight away he goes through the ringer.
Yeah.
Immediately he has difficulty controlling his powers, and obviously he's having traumatic flashbacks.
Yeah.
Which I guess is also leading you to believe like that there's more that he didn't tell here.
Yeah, and at a certain point, it's like I think I already said, but it is revealed that I forget what it was. Like he did something stupid, and like the spaceship that was going to save his entire family, that he broke it or some shit like that. Hopefully, I'm remembering that correctly. I'm trying to find the page. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it'll come up. So they got to fight the combined forces of Joker and the Key, and like it's big, and like I do love this version of the Joker. He's quite sinister, but also and goofy and stuff like that, but also like yeah, I don't know, like well, I don't know. I said
sort of a little
goofy,
slightly more dangerous too in this book when teamed up with the Key.
Yeah.
I actually when I read these two on digital format, I read them like panel by panel instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
page by page
Yep.
because the font's a little bigger.
Sure, sure.
And actually, the Joker reveal was great because of that.
Oh yeah.
Because you didn't get like the full page like reveal ahead of time. You got
Yeah.
it was a setback. You failed. And
Yeah.
then it came into that fucking reveal, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, and they slow roll. Joker is not revealed until page 77.
Yeah.
So they slow rolled his involvement out, and then obviously brought in your who was tortured, Jason Todd.
Yeah.
So they bring in your beating, and I like that he pulls out a key that the key needs, and it has a fucking hand attached to it.
Yeah.
There's some ominous things, and even though you're kind of having a good time in this book, there's still some darkness. There's still enough adult content to say like, hey, this has an edge, you know?
Yeah, well, like when Thunderboy, burns that terrorist on the boat or whatever, they were like, David, that wasn't required.
Yeah, just roast the guy's hand right off.
Yeah. And then and then back to what we were saying, like Superman gives that speech, we do not punch down ever. Like there's this it is stupid. Like basically it is the Kingdom Come story in miniature, in that like the kids like why not kill this guy? Like I'm angry, he's a bad guy. And this version of Superman, this version of Batman, is very much against cruelty of any sort, which is like, that's not my Batman. My Batman is cruel, but this version of Batman, is made lighter, and I got time for that. I got plenty of time for that version of Batman. He's cool too.
It's fine.
Yeah, but basically that whole superhero, we don't kill, we do no harm whenever possible.
It is, what? It is low hanging fruit for a plot device, though. For me, it's I don't mind dipping into that.
Yeah, and it makes total sense with Superman and Batman, and like Batman doesn't kill. Like I'll take that. I mean, whatever.
My Batman's the goddamn Batman.
Yeah, fucking right. So yeah, they deal with the key. They deal with the Joker. Joker manages to steal Thunderboy or whatever, whose power. Yeah, all the hints are kind of there that it's going to be a Kingdom Come thing, but he's from the multiverse, and so the key's like, I've just unlocked the key to the multiverse? ? And yeah, so I guess somewhere around there when do we get the reveal that, oh yeah, it's like when he's about to kill the Joker. I'll kill you, I swear. And then we just did the final image, I will kill you. And the pieces are put in place for us. And we cut to like the Kingdom Come world just before the final issue.
Did they tease it that early?
Well, that's not early. I mean, it's 5 issues, right? And I think it's a 5-part story, and they put it at the end of issue 4, I think.
Yeah, that's wild, because I feel like they could have slow burned that too.
Yeah, well, they don't go back to it. It's just like it just dangles there, right? And until like the final image where he meets Gog or whatever. I think they slow burned it just fine. It's enough to like you always got to give the audience, because again, like the only reason I read this fucking comic and recommended it to us is because he showed me what it all, like it was like, this is the point, this is the story, we're dealing with this again. Okay, well, I'm in. And like put a stamp on it, tell the audience to show up. You like Kingdom Come, folks? Yeah, I do. I think I'll come back. And Dan Mora, again, like this art, like these psychedelic images and everything, like he's very straight-laced, but there's nothing about him that is incompetent. You know, he can pretty much do anything, I think, like within his own style, because he doesn't change styles. But
Oh yeah, I'd agree with that. And I like the it is sort of there is like a Joe Madrea. Did you say that earlier?
I think I said manga. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No. What
Yeah,
did I
there is
say? I said there's a Greg Capullo.
Greg Capullo.
Uh,
Sorry, yeah,
yeah.
and that's the exaggerated expressions. Yeah, and there is a bit of a manga kind of like sheen on some of the expressions as well. But yeah, like this guy is. I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen the Flash make giant treadmills that access the multiverse, and fucking funerals, grave sites, city tops, like it just. Yeah, I mean backgrounds, everything's rendered for you. Everything's taken care of. Ultra
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So we'll just skip to the Kingdom Come thing, because we're getting long in the tooth here.
Yeah.
How did we feel about? So they end up in another universe. You know, care of. I think that's what the Flash's new status quo is. I think under Cy Spurrier, I think he's running from multiverse to like universe to universe. I think that's his kind of thing at the moment. So I think that's why this gets incorporated. I don't know that for sure. But he finds a multiverse. He finds a universe in which, you know, like he finds David, and he's like, so he sends them to go rescue him, and it's the Kingdom Come universe. And they first show up at the end, so they see Batman and Superman, young versions of Batman and Superman. They show up after the end of Kingdom Come, where like all the heroes are dead, and Bruce and Clark are kind of pathetic and mourning, and then they kind of zip back a little bit to prior to those events. So this is all taking place prior to the events of Kingdom Come.
Yeah, and because you're getting a little bit of you're not quite getting the full old man Superman and old man Batman. You're getting just sort of more matured, like maybe 50, 40-year-old Batman and Superman, a little bit touch of gray Superman.
Yeah.
Or World's Finest Team Up, whatever.
Of course, yes.
And then that's when you get your you find Thunder Boys turned into Thunder Man, Thunder Lad, and he roasts that chick's head.
Oh yeah. Last chance. Ah!
I think it's like telling too that he's like really comfortable, just like he's really comfortable like with ultra violence against anyone up to and including death, and also is like really comfortable just like violently attacking women. I mean, yeah, equal. There's equal rights here in this Kingdom Come world.
Well, at least with Thunder Man or whatever, he'll yeah, he's a real
the expression on fucking Superman's face. He's gonna barf.
Yeah, wait, don't.
That's a grotesque image too, with her helmet melting onto her face.
Oh yeah, there's surgery required on that one. I mean, like
that's not coming off. No.
Yeah. So yeah, Thunderman's all pissed off. I don't even know why. Oh, that's right. Okay, I do have a couple problems with this story, in that I have troubles thinking that Kingdom Come actually would have occurred after these encounters, like of Superman and Batman being broken from their brainwash by Gog, and so on and so forth. Like there's too much. I don't even know what's too many complications. Like, so when Flash shows up, he's like, there's this world and it's not a good world. And the main thrust of this story is that I find anyway, is that one of the reasons that Kingdom Come is so dour is because it is a version of the DC universe in which they don't know that the multiverse exists. And I know this kind of, like, early on, you in our conversation, you're talking about how fucking stupid the multiverse is, and fine. But it isn't it like it is a very important part of the DC universe. Like it is the source of its fun. It is the generative engine of the DC universe and has been for 80 years. These numerous iterations of other worlds and interacting with each other. It's part of the DNA, and if you take that out and you enclose it, it becomes I guess the argument is that like it becomes enclosed from fun, and cynicism sets in, and
Yes.
it becomes dark and encased, and then it ultimately goes through an apocalypse whereby cynicism is erased, but at the end of the day, like, whereas Grant Morrison would in their JLA comics talk about how like the superheroes live in a universe in which good always wins. That's its fundamental ontology. I think with Mark Waid, the idea is more closely something like that you live in a universe in which fun always wins and cynicism dies out, because Superman is a symbol of hope, and Batman never quits, and all that stuff. And this book is kind of that's what I hear Mark saying about Kingdom Come at this point.
That's fair. That's yeah, that's fair. That's that's why the tone of this book like has that overall lighter feel.
Yeah. Even though, as we've said a bunch of times, like it's pretty dark shit. Like
yeah, there are shock. I feel like that lighter tone gives those and that because the lighter tone adds just a little bit of extra innocence and naivety to the I'm not pronouncing that well to Superman and Batman when there's a real fucking horror moment, they're fucking paralyzed. Like they're in as much shock as you are as the audience, which I find fun also, because I'm like, holy fuck, like he's roasting her head off her body, and you're just Superman's shook up, you're shook up because you've been dealing with this sort of like powder cake of a tone, So it's neat. It's a neat way of doing it. Also, little quick side gig here.
Sure.
Did you want to sleep in one of these Japanese pods? Because I've been thinking about them a lot. Do these exist? I don't know.
The fuck are you talking about? The Japanese pods? Are there Japanese pods in this comic? Or are you talking about those sleep pods?
Yeah, the sleep pods.
Okay, well, you're just...
They're from Japan. What?
Yeah, I know. What the fuck are you talking about that right now for?
They're in the book.
Oh, they are in the book. Okay, well, where in the book? I don't know. Wait, I know. When they're in the restaurant, right?
Yeah, Clark tries it out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was thinking, geez, if I had that in my office, would I get in it? Would I take a nap? Would the nap be great? Why don't we have them? Like, we don't have anything in Canada. It's a fucking, like, trailer park land. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. There's not even pods to sleep in.
A little bit of a teaser there.
A little foreshadowing, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I would sleep in a pod, man. I'd sleep at this point in my life. I'd sleep in, frankly,
maybe
anything.
even like a sleeper that used to be attached to a semi truck.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, they I don't know. It's without getting into the fucking meat of it, we don't need to do a blow by blow. But like Gog, that's a Jeff Loeb, not a Jeff Loeb. Jeff Johns fucked around with the Kingdom Come shit and did some stuff with Gog in Justice Society of America in the mid-aughts. So this is building off of that stuff. If it seems kind of weird to you.
Yeah, and then anyway, this Superman 2 also gets his ass kicked.
He does, yeah.
The good news is
cool. I like that.
He keeps on trucking.
Yeah. I don't want Superman to be like the guy who can move planets or whatever. Like, I want him to be incredibly powerful, but at the same time vulnerable to bad guys. Like if Mogul shows up, like he's gonna have to have a real fight on his hands. And
yeah, like other Superman showed up.
Yeah.
And it was gnarly. Batman's checking out the chick with the melted head.
So anyway, it's eventually, like they solve the thing. Everybody's been brainwashed by this guy, and he's got
Yeah,
a
he's like
Mobius chair or whatever.
yeah, he's like a big pervert, and he's got their whole world of heroes brainwashed, right? So
Right. So he creates Magog in that moment, and then he's gonna like take all the heroes and get them to attack Apocalypse for some reason. I'm not quite sure because it's evil, right? But then he goes crazy and he's just like every die fighting, like just I don't understand the motivations. I don't think.
no, because yeah, they're like, you're taking everyone on a suicide run. He's like, it's a glorious suicide run. Everyone gets to go to heaven. I'm crazy as a fucking bat.
Yeah, yeah.
You've only been alive for a hot minute because your existences are short. He's like, I know everything about everything. Maybe they just killed a god.
Well, they did. I mean, like, yeah. But not. There's no shortage of them in the DC universe.
No, that's good.
For instance, so yeah. And like, yeah, again, his face is all distended and weird. It's kind of it's almost like properly demonic, and given that vibration through the coloring or the art, it yeah, they're just picking. They're picking great moments, and you've already said this, but to just like change the tone drastically. Which brings us to them finally fighting Darkseid. I don't know what to think of this version of Darkseid, where he's just like truly unstoppable. I kind of like it. I prefer it, I think, but it's not inconsistent with anything we've seen up until this point.
That's also pretty unsettling. Like I don't see how they're supposed to win that fight. I mean, there's no indication that they could. There was no indication that they could stop him at all, or even hurt him.
Yeah. Which is good. Like I kind of want that for a Darkseid, because he's the god of evil, man. Like you can beat him, but you're gonna have to do tricks. You're gonna have to do something super heroic. You can't come right at him. Yeah, and he just kind of walks through, and like if yeah, he'll only leave if he has nothing, if he's done. And he's through with the situation. I don't know, I thought that was cool. And he's illustrated like very terrifyingly. And again, the opening page of issue, like the part 6 of whatever this fucking issue 24.
Yeah.
Dan Mora's showing some chops in the way that he's illustrating Darkseid in that moment. It's like he ups the realism of the image, like the naturalism, in a way that the other images remain cartoony.
Which one's that? What page is that on?
Well, I don't know. I'm on Hoopla here, so
Yeah, me too.
Page 101.
Oh yes, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, just like to set him. Yeah, so he's got a different vibe, like even like physically, in comparison to the universe, right? And fucking cowardly old Magog, old David, what a piece of shit.
Just that he hides through all this.
Yeah. Well, you see, and I think it plays a getting back to like what's Mark trying to say about Kingdom Come here. So in the original Kingdom Come, it was all like Magog was Cable essentially. It was all that guns and violence, and we're gonna kill the bad guys now because it's the 90s. And you never got this sense that the character had any character at all, right? He was just a stand-in for a vibe at the time, and Mark wanted to comment about the vibe and rehabilitate the DC universe. Now we get a sense that like what that character really was a coward. He was a murderous coward, and that's a different statement, right? Like he's calling the 90s a period of and the image revolution and all that stuff and all the X-Force, Cable, or what was really behind all of that was a cowardly little boy who missed his parents. And yeah, I mean, I don't think he's consciously saying that, but that like a Mark Waid, but that's, or maybe he is, because he does think, sadly, he thinks quite deeply about these things.
Well, yeah, maybe he was thinking that. That'd be great if he was, but
I really think he might be, like, or at the very least, like the implication is that yeah, like that, all that vibe or whatever, like that whole thing that everybody went through, it wasn't just because it was cool, it was just because we were scared. And Superman's redemptive power in that moment is it has a different vibe, it has a different valence now, it's a different, like, what he brings is a forgiveness and a hope that you can be better than you are, which is far more powerful, I think, than the original Kingdom Come story, which is just like about, I don't know, like heroes failing and then like kind of not quitting at the end. Kind of learning that, like, oh yeah, I guess we better be responsible for the future. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I like you say, I know I had thought at one point that we were going to kind of taper off a little bit, because after that fight there's a bit of like exposition. Magog storms off because he's still pissed because they abandoned him, and he and then that really explains the kind of the difference in the bitterness too of Magog. It's a good build for the character for Kingdom Come. Like it's a nice origin, really. It's deep.
It's a good origin. It's a good origin for him, but I have difficulty imagining that this, like, the Superman that we see in this story of the Kingdom Come Superman is going to end up exiling himself. Like all the events that happen after this don't really make as much sense to me anymore. Like, except for Magog. Magog makes a bunch more sense to me. But some of the events.
Yeah, but why would the Superman want to like let him run roughshod when he could probably control the situation himself now?
Yeah, because he sees the guys all fucked up, and like they're like they were just brain controlled.
And he also sees it's necessary for him to intervene more often, based on the younger version of himself.
Yeah.
Basically,
so,
fucking
like,
lambasting him the whole time, saying like, dude, they need you. Like, you need to step it up. You need to be fucking responsible for this planet.
Yeah.
Like, and then he does. He takes responsibility for the fucking planet. He makes corrections. They team up. Everything's great. And then it's like, I see what you mean by problematic.
Yeah.
And where does he go? Well, I failed. I'll exile myself. Like, there doesn't seem to be any logical path to that. That type of whatever catharsis. It doesn't make sense that would happen. Also, I wouldn't want to fight that Batman. That Batman was nasty.
Oh, what, the Kingdom Come one?
Yeah, like 52-year-old Batman.
Yeah,
with the suit of armor.
Yeah,
like prime, like dad bod Batman. I don't want that.
No,
the whole time he said, in the way that they played the expressions, he said very little, and there would always be like a panel of him side-eyeing. Yes. Whenever anything questionable was happening, and you're like, oh shit, Batman knows.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's it's a testament, obviously, to Mark, but also to how the audience has been trained, not just by Mark, but by 80 years of DC Comics or everything like post Frank Miller. Anyway, I don't know how people thought about like the intelligence of Batman and the wiliness and cunning of that and that sort of thing. But we expect a certain sort of like ultra proficiency, not fooled by anything sort of attitude from Batman, and we get that here, right?
Absolutely, so you're given your Batman.
And we get like, and also a really smart, Mark said this in an interview, that he has one of the things he has to make sure of is that Superman isn't just like a strong guy who moves stuff around. Like he too is very smart, and the two of them are good friends with each other for a reason. They problem solve in similar ways, but also in different ways. Like and you get that here too. Like Superman's a little on his back heel because he sees himself failing, but he's not an idiot. You know, like I never hear him say anything or do anything that I'm like, oh fuck, this is this is ridiculous.
No, no, and
yeah.
he's not like outclassed in any way in this sort of team up by the Batman.
Yeah, which makes sense because he shouldn't be. You know, Batman's the one who ought to be outclassed.
Yeah. Batman has a different. There's a great line in there that stuck with me too when he's like, I can tell when people are lying, and he's like, you can tell when people are lying when you're looking for it. I'm looking for it all the time.
Yeah.
He's always imagining everyone's lying, which is great. Very cynical for a non-cynical book, but
and he says
very cool. Like that's just it. They bring different things to the table. Batman brings that planning in advance, that like you say, that high proficiency that you need to really to buy into, to keep your Batman fans there.
Yeah. In issue 1 or whatever or thereabouts, there's another exchange between the two of them, and I think that there's some like hermeneutics or like heuristics, I guess is the word, like these basic ideas that the story is built around. Like Superman doesn't lie. Superman's not stupid, but he does have like a naivete. And what another thing that they end up saying is like, Superman, Batman says to him like, you can't think like a criminal. You literally can't. I can. And that's a difference between the two of them as well, within this universe. Superman doesn't understand a person, like truly understand a person who does something villainous. Like that's not possible for him. And Batman brings that to the world's finest team up.
Well, yeah, because he understands the depths. He understands the darkness.
Yeah. And so Magog gets a little moment of redemption at the end, which is nice. Superman comes by, gives him a hug. Sorry, like despite the fact that there's like graveyards, like a huge rows upon rows upon rows of the dead, and he just in a sort of frankly Christ-like fashion, just like, I absolve you of all of that and go into the future and be a hero. And that kind of redemptive path is very appropriate for a lot of superheroes. You usually see it in the X-Men though, or Marvel. You got your Hawkeye, you got your Rogue, you got your this, you got your that. Occasionally Magneto. It's part of the arc. And it's anyway, when they're flying toward us.
Yeah, and that's the end.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you liked it. I wasn't sure, but I was, I felt pretty confident that it would tickle the funny book bone.
Yeah, it's very cool. It was very cool, and like you say, all the dynamics and stuff you need were there, and but it was more than that. It was like, we don't usually talk this long if it was just flat. So I mean, it was I mean, I think it had some things not going for it. Also, like you say, it was light enough to feel like a pop piece. Like I don't know if I'd go out of my way to add it to my collection, but I think I'm going to remember it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, actually, because I too, like, I was like, oh, maybe I want to buy it. And I was like, no, I really don't. It's like,
so there is something missing. But,
well, I think like it is Dan Mora's art, ironically, and it's the same reason I haven't bought Claws. Because as much as I really like this in reading it for free or occasionally buying an issue or whatever, like I don't It is pop. It's pop comics. And the dynamic between Batman and Superman, like I don't give a fucking shit about that. Like in my like if you asked me, I do obviously because we talked about it for so long. But like it's and as well as it is done, at the end of the day, it's just Batman and Superman being pals, right? And I don't need to own that. That's fine. Like it's a nice place to visit, but I'm not gonna live there. And, fucking
fair. Very fair.
Yeah. After all that positive talk, we're like, this book fucking sucks. Don't waste your money, folks. Don't waste your fucking money.
Wow.
Want to get railroaded? Huh? Is that what you want?
Hope you listen to the end.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.